Hi, I'm Molly Muller, and I'm the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee for the 2017-2018 school year. This video will serve as your guide for filling out the budget portion of the application. All of the information in this video can also be found in the Appropriations packet, which is located online in the Student Government website. If you've completed the appropriations process in the past, you may see that we have streamlined the budget process this year. Now you can use an online budget tool that can be found on the Student Government website, through the application, or through the packet.
In order to use the budget tool, you must download the Google Sheet into Microsoft Excel. Fill in all of your information into Microsoft Excel and rename the file name to Your Organization Budget. Re-upload the renamed spreadsheet into your Google Drive to get the shareable link. Then copy and paste that link into the appropriate application question. Make sure that the sharing settings are set to anyone with a link can view. Now we're going to talk about how to fill in your budget.
One important rule to keep in mind is that student government appropriations can only fund 50% of your expense. In other words, we can only be half of an organization's revenue. For example, if a student organization raises only $500 in fundraising as their only source of revenue, student government appropriations can give that organization no more than $500. Student government appropriations is funded entirely by student fees. As a result, student government appropriations can only recognize up to $700 of revenue from other fee-funded organizations on campus. This includes organizations like E-Council, UAB, and AgriLife Council, anything else that has student-funded fees. For example, if an organization receives $1,000 from the UAB, student government can only recognize up to $700 of that for matching purposes, meaning that appropriations can only give the organization $700 total. As an absolute maximum, no student organization can receive more than $2,000 from student government appropriations each cycle.
To start filling out the budget, there are 5 different types of appropriations requests. You must fill in the appropriate number for the request type, and those request types can be found in the budget tool. Number 1 in the budget tool is travel requests. There are several important rules to remember when filling out travel requests. Student government appropriations can only fund 1/3 of the cost of your travel expenses, since only a limited number of students are participating. Furthermore, when budgeting traveling expenses, make sure you use the university rule of 55.5 cents per mile. Also, appropriations can only fund $35 per person per night when lodging. Number 2 is startup funds. Startup funds are for student organizations that are brand new or haven't re-registered with student involvement after a long period of absence from student involvement. Every new club may receive these funds after filling out a complete budget and application process. No interview is required for startup funds. However, the maximum amount of money you can receive from that is $300. Number 3 is an expense request. This is a standard request for any club's event or need. The matching rule applies to this request.
Number 4 is for startup funds and expense requests. This is appropriate for student organizations who are new and would like to receive the automatic $300 startup funds, but also may have other expenses that they would like covered by student government appropriations. Of course, the total has to be less than $2,000 for this cycle. Number 5 is a joint request. This is appropriate for 2 student organizations who would like to work together on a single event. Student government appropriations can only fund an event once, which means that 2 organizations should work together on the application and interview using number 5. Next, fill out your revenue. Revenue should include all funds that you currently have or will have throughout the entire appropriations cycle. Make sure that you're specific with where your funds are coming from, particularly if the source is another fee-funded organization. The next step is to fill out your expenses. Your expenses should include everything you intend to spend during the appropriation cycle. If the budget follows all of the rules we've discussed, then the bottom line of the spreadsheet should turn green and you are good to go. If, however, the bottom turns red, review the rules and make sure that you have followed everything in the budget rules for student government appropriations. If you still can't quite figure it out, come to one of our in-person help sessions and we'll have a member of the committee help you figure it out. There are a couple other things to keep in mind. Any funds you receive from student government appropriations this cycle must be used between fall break 2017 and spring break 2018. If you need money for any time after spring break or you plan to use money after spring break, apply for the next cycle. Do not apply at this time. There will be another cycle held in February to provide adequate funding.
There are several things that appropriations cannot fund: salaries for advisors, trips required for a class, clothing items, unless they're used as a fundraiser. For example, selling t-shirts is acceptable. However, we cannot fund t-shirts for your actual organization. Operational expenses like photocopying or postage, alcoholic beverages, illicit substances, and tobacco, events purely social in nature, food for meetings that do not serve a specific purpose, such as for a cultural event, gift cards, or more than $500 in speakers' fees. Remember, all this information can be found inside the appropriations packet. In-person help sessions are also available. You can bring your completed budget to one of the help sessions and an appropriations committee member will help you. The dates of the help sessions are available on the student government website as well as in the appropriations packet. Your next step is the accompanying quiz. You must pass with at least an 80% in order to move on with the appropriations process.
Don't forget to submit your application and sign up for an interview spot by September 10th. If you have any questions or concerns during any part of the process, feel free to contact me at sgappropriations@ncsu.edu.